brilliant pillar of light erupts from a nearby cliff, marking a momentous transformation. He reflects on his past self, once considered the weakest of them all. Everything changed the day he finally awakened his innate, hidden ability. In that moment of realization, he shed his former limitations to gain immense power. Back in the present, he leans casually inside the bustling adventurers' guild. An obnoxious adventurer shoves past him, expressing his annoyance with the crowd. The protagonist sighs, already weary of the typical guild commotion. He notices the reception desk is once again swamped with a ridiculously long line. Suddenly, the loud-mouthed adventurer starts yelling at someone for cutting in. He realizes with a flash of irritation that the man is shouting directly at him. The adventurer condescendingly claims he didn't even see Arga standing there. He then flexes his B-rank status, outraged that a nobody would dare speak to him. The bully continues to berate him, pointing out his pathetic E-rank tamer status. With a smug grin, he tells the weakling shrimp to learn his place in the guild. But just as he's gloating, a mysterious hand clamps down on his head. The guildmaster himself appears, calmly reprimanding the bully for his behavior. He advises Arga to report troublemakers in the future, as the shamed adventurer flees. The guildmaster sends a chilling look after him, hinting at a potential demotion. He then lets out a weary sigh, turning his attention back to the protagonist. Arga simply offers a relaxed smile, explaining he wasn't in a hurry anyway. Arga steps up to the desk, calmly stating he's there to report leaving his party. The guildmaster is visibly surprised by this news, while a receptionist calls for the next person. With a knowing look, Arga suggests the reason for his departure is painfully obvious. A flashback reveals his former leader, Kanado, pompously announcing Arga's banishment from the party. Just 3 hours prior, Arga was left completely bewildered by the sudden expulsion. He had demanded to know why, only for a teammate to viciously insult him for being a tamer. Another party member furiously declared they had no need for someone who could only befriend monsters. Arga desperately questioned their logic, but his leader prepared to lecture him on his uselessness. His former comrade explained that sharing experience with monsters had kept him stuck at a lowly E rank. Kanado then sealed the argument, screaming that tamers are a burden because they grow too slowly. Arga desperately argues that they agreed on his role when he first joined the party. He pleads with Kanado, reminding him of his promise that his tamer class was acceptable. Kanado coldly retorts that his patience ran out 2 years ago. Stunned, Arga can't believe their 2 years of companionship mean nothing. His leader scoffs, declaring that a burden isn't a companion. Back in the present, Arga sarcastically remarks that his old party now has plenty of free time, recalling how they branded him dead weight. The receptionist notices his adventurer card hasn't been updated in 2 years and offers to process it. With a wry smile, Arga agrees, since his recent banishment has freed up his schedule. He's then presented with a mysterious crystal orb, unsure of its purpose. The receptionist brightly explains it's the guild's new high-tech status checker. Arga looks on with mild curiosity, wondering how a crystal can possibly read his status. The guildmaster explains the old paper system was scrapped because too many adventurers lied on their applications. The receptionist cheerfully adds that all the data read by the orb is transferred directly to his adventurer card. She begins reading his stats, confirming his name, age, race, and his well-known E rank. But the orb reveals a shocking twist. His occupation is listed as tamer and fusionist. The receptionist immediately declares the expensive new device must be broken, while Arga points in confusion. The guildmaster sharply refutes this, stating the crystal is absolutely accurate, even if he's never heard of that job. A sudden, shocking possibility dawns on the guildmaster as he stares at the orb. He confirms the crystal is reading a skill called Mix Fusion Art, proving it's no mistake. Both Arga and the guildmaster are left speechless by the impossible truth. He has a second occupation. Arga's mind races as he grasps the massive implication of having 2 jobs. The guildmaster explains that while most people have 1 job, possessing 2 is an extremely rare phenomenon. Arga gets fired up, realizing this is far more significant than a simple job change. The guildmaster then reveals the staggering odds. A second job only appears once in 1,000 years. He clenches his fist, thrilled by the idea that he's a once-in-a-millennium prodigy, his fortunes completely reversed. The guildmaster thoughtfully strokes his beard, cautiously agreeing with Arga's assessment. But a new question arises, as neither the guildmaster nor the receptionist has ever heard of a fusionist class. Arga nervously speculates that, based on the name, it's likely an occupation that allows him to crossbreed monsters. The others are left momentarily speechless by his seemingly mundane conclusion. His excitement deflates as he assumes this is just a standard tamer skill, not the legendary power he'd imagined. The guildmaster stares in disbelief, questioning Arga's claim that any tamer can crossbreed monsters. Arga looks back, confused, asking if they can't perform the same feat. To prove his point, Arga heads to a nearby field and summons a glowing interface from thin air. With a confident grin, he prepares to summon his tamed companions for the experiment. Several dark summoning circles stretch out from his feet across the grassy field. A small dragon, a fiery fox, and a timid slime materialize from the summoning circles. He immediately pulls up the status screen for his adorable, wide-eyed slime. He affectionately pets his companions, declaring them the base ingredients for his first fusion. He reviews their stats, noting that his baby dragon, baby wolf, and slime are all disappointingly weak. He studies the fusion grid, then decisively selects the icon of a bat to begin the process. He confidently selects his baby dragon, Lala, as the first test subject for his demonstration. The guildmaster clarifies that tamers only command monsters, making Arga realize he's been fusing them naturally all along. They continue to press him, explaining that creating new monsters is impossible for normal tamers. Arga stammers, suddenly at a loss for a logical explanation for his unique power. He sheepishly admits he's completely self-taught and has never met another tamer to compare skills with. The receptionist bluntly points out his lonely existence, leaving Arga utterly mortified by the exposed truth. Shaking off the embarrassment, he eagerly returns to the demonstration, ready to prove his power. The interface prompts him to fuse the baby dragon and the bat, and he decides to embrace his mix fusion art skill. With a surge of determination, he confirms the fusion, initiating the powerful and mysterious art. A brilliant flash of light erupts as the two creatures begin to merge, their forms combining into something entirely new. The fusion results in a new dragon, its wings and color slightly altered. Arga sees its stats have dropped, but it has gained the bat's powerful ultrasonic wave skill. He celebrates this trade-off, concluding that the creature is now stronger than before. The word stronger echoes in his mind, sparking a new determination. He passionately promises his new creation that he, the fusionist, will continue to enhance its power. A shadow of doubt crosses his face as a new thought occurs to him. He tells his other monsters that they are fortunate to have this method of growth. Arga's mood darkens as he realizes that while his monsters can evolve, he himself remains weak. He clenches his fist, filled with a desperate longing to become powerful like them. His frustration boils over into rage as he remembers the ones who cast him aside. He seethes with rage, vowing to show his old party just how wrong they were. With his loyal monsters by his side, he turns his back on the past and looks toward a new future. A tear of frustration rolls down his cheek as a terrifying new idea about his fusion ability takes root. His eyes widen in shock as he considers a forbidden possibility, fusing a human with a monster. He recalls a crucial piece of knowledge, that humans and monsters are fundamentally similar on a biological level. The thought sends a jolt through him, a high-stakes gamble with his very life on the line. He stares into the distance, wrestling with the insane idea of fusing himself with one of his creatures. The potential consequences flash through his mind. Failure could mean a monstrous transformation or even death. A system prompt materializes, offering him the chance to fuse with a spider-like monster. But the promise of immense power, of finally becoming strong, outweighs all his fear. He slams the confirmation button, unleashing his forbidden mix fusion art. His body dematerializes into glowing particles, the terrifying fusion process now underway. As the process ends, a wave of pure relief washes over him. He survived the gamble. He's stunned to see a status window appear, a power he thought was impossible for humans. He erupts in celebration, finding his body perfectly normal after the transformation, but a single line on his new status screen freezes him in utter disbelief. His race is now listed as Demon Human, a revelation that sends him into a fit of crazed laughter. He stares at his hands, slowly processing the fact that he is no longer entirely human. He strides confidently back into the Adventurers Guild, his new power fueling his every step. With a new tail swishing behind him, he eagerly hunts for quests worthy of his new strength. He slams his hand down on the quest board, decisively choosing his first mission. The receptionist confirms his choice: a simple goblin extermination in the northern plains. He dismisses her warning about the low reward, explaining he only wants to test his new strength. His unusual reason for taking the quest leaves the receptionist completely bewildered. She then notices something else, asking if he's somehow gotten taller. He cryptically explains that he was reborn, and that these physical changes are only the start. Without further explanation, he waves goodbye and confidently heads out of the guild. The receptionist turns to the guildmaster, commenting on how strange Arga is suddenly acting. The guildmaster muses over Arga's claim of being reborn and his eagerness for a fresh start. He finds it suspicious that an adventurer of Arga's experience would choose such a menial task. Back at the guild, the receptionist voices her concern over Arga's safety. The guildmaster adds that the northern plains have become unusually dangerous lately. Arriving at his destination, Arga immediately spots his unsuspecting goblin targets. He decides to test his monster's new power before unleashing his own. Arga declares the goblins are the perfect opponents for his fused companions to warm up. He reviews his own status, marveling at how his attack power and life force have skyrocketed. He's most intrigued by a new skill that doubles his experience gain while having the requirement. Thanks to his spider fusion, he can now produce strong silk from his fingertips. His moment of reflection is cut short as the goblins finally spot him and his party. With a confident grin, Arga orders his dragon Lala to initiate the attack with an ultrasonic wave. The small dragon unleashes a disorienting sonic blast, throwing the goblin horde into chaos. Arga smirks, satisfied that the bat fusion's special ability is already paying off. He then signals his other companions, ordering them to charge into the battle. His slime viciously bites down on one goblin while the wolf fiercely tackles another. He mentally reviews their new skills, proud that both fusions have made them significantly stronger. Determined not to be outdone by his own creations, Arga draws his dagger to join the fight. He lunges at a lone goblin, preparing to test his own newfound power with a swift strike. But as his dagger connects, his eyes widen in disbelief at the unexpected outcome. The goblin is effortlessly cleaved in two by the impossibly clean and powerful cut. Arga stands frozen in shock as the two halves fall, utterly stunned by his own monstrous strength. He lets out a nervous laugh, remembering how he once lacked the strength to even cut properly. He stares at his worn-out dagger, unable to believe he just sliced a goblin in two by himself. A sudden jolt snaps him out of his shock as a system notification appears. His mind short-circuits as a barrage of level-up notifications floods his vision. He questions the rapid level-ups, theorizing he must be gaining experience from his monster's kills too. Status windows materialize for both him and his companions, displaying their updated stats. He's amazed by the dramatic increase in everyone's stats, noting his own are particularly incredible. The thrilling possibility dawns on him. He might actually have a chance to become the strongest. His jaw drops as he reads his stats, realizing his power already rivals that of an A-rank or even S-rank adventurer. But as he processes this, a new detail on his status screen brings his celebration to a confused halt. A deafening roar suddenly echoes across the plains, snapping Arga out of his reverie. He turns to find a colossal, spiky beast, a sword bear towering over him with menacing intent. Arga's confidence evaporates, replaced by sheer unadulterated shock at the sight of the monster. Meanwhile, back at the guild, the receptionist panics upon learning a sword bear is in the northern plains. She tries to reassure herself, noting the monster is only designated as C-rank overall. The guildmaster confirms there have been multiple sightings, validating her growing concern. She realizes with horror that its attack power alone is A-rank, far beyond Arga's supposed E-rank status. Arga, however, realizes his new demon-human form has maxed out his taming skill, giving him a wild idea. The receptionist fears the worst, certain that a low-rank adventurer like Arga stands no chance against such a creature. But Arga calmly orders his companions to stand down, a determined glint in his eye as he prepares to handle this himself. Instead of fear, Arga grins with wild excitement, declaring he will defeat the powerful beast himself. He charges forward, seeing the A-rank monster not as a threat, but as a massive shortcut for experience points. He strikes with his dagger, only for it to clang uselessly against the creature's impossibly tough, spiky hide. His confidence shatters as he realizes the monster's natural armor is far stronger than he ever imagined. The sword bear retaliates with a ferocious lunge, its fangs bared and ready to tear him apart. He quickly reconsiders his strategy, knowing his dagger is useless and punching the sharp fur would be a fatal mistake. The creature's surprising speed forces him into a desperate dodge as it closes the distance in an instant. It slams into the ground with enough force to shatter the earth, missing him by mere inches. Thinking fast, he uses his new spider skill, shooting a silk thread to swing away from the danger. He lands safely, feeling a surge of relief that his forbidden fusion is already proving its worth. He formulates a new plan, deciding to use his spider silk in a creative way. He expertly weaves the strong silk from his fingertips, wrapping it tightly around his fists. He finishes creating a pair of reinforced gloves ready to face the monster head-on. He charges forward, his new silk-wrapped fists ready to test their strength against the beast. His fist connects with the creature's face in a devastating blow. The colossal beast reels back, its eyes wide with disbelief and pain from the unexpected force. With his confidence soaring, he proclaims that the creature's natural defenses are now useless against him. His follow-up strikes shatter the creature's spiky armor like brittle glass. The beast howls in pain, its body now vulnerable as its armor is pulverized. The massive creature is sent flying backward, its body crashing through the ground as Arga stands his ground. Arga stands over the defeated beast, realizing with a gasp that he is victorious. The incredible truth sinks in. He just defeated a C-rank monster all by himself. He watches the creature's remains fade, his expression hardening with newfound resolve. This victory fuels his desire for more power, enough to make his old party regret their betrayal. Back at the Adventurers Guild, Arga is already buzzing with energy for his next move. He rushes past the reception desk, grabbing a new quest and boasting it will be over in a flash. The receptionist calls out a farewell as he eagerly dashes for the exit, ready for another fight. Suddenly a large hand appears, stopping his hasty departure in its tracks. He looks up to see the guild master, Nemiras, calmly questioning his hurry. Arga apologizes with an awkward smile after being gently scolded for running inside. The guildmaster states that Arga has clearly gotten stronger, leaving the receptionist completely baffled. Arga just offers a nervous wave and quickly makes his exit, leaving them to wonder. Nemiras watches him go with a thoughtful and knowing smile, sensing the truth. He mentally notes Arga's improved physique and agility, realizing he's like a different person. The receptionist watches him leave, speculating that Arga must now be a very high level. She dismisses her own theory, but the guildmaster admits he can't be sure just by looking. Nemiras turns to her, curiously asking about Arga's recent quest activity. She happily confirms he's been taking on low-difficulty menial tasks every single day. The guildmaster reviews the log, seeing Arga has been repeatedly hunting weak horn rabbits. The receptionist suggests his perception is just imagination, since no one can grow strong on such easy jobs. The guildmaster strokes his beard, a deep suspicion forming in his mind. Meanwhile, Arga muses that taming a horn rabbit would provide excellent material for his fusion experiments. But as he turns to leave, a loud voice suddenly calls out, demanding he stop. He turns to ask what they want, finding his path blocked by a hulking figure. Two massive, intimidating adventurers tower over him, clearly looking for trouble. The men identify him as the E-rank tamer who was kicked out of Kanado's party. They passionately declare their admiration for Kanado, revealing they are desperate to join his famous S-rank party. Arga smirks, realizing they're just jealous that a weakling like him was part of their idol's team for 2 years. Enraged, they insist it's his nonchalant attitude that truly infuriates them, leaving Arga momentarily confused. He casually waves them off, telling them their jealousy is no longer his concern. The adventurer explodes with rage, demanding to know why Arga dares to be happy. He furiously orders Arga to know his place, his voice echoing through the guild. The bully insists Arga should be groveling for disrespecting their idol, Kanado. Arga looks completely baffled by the demand that he should feel remorseful. His confusion turns to defiance as he flatly refuses to feel any guilt. Arga boldly declares that Kanado is the one who should be reflecting on his actions. He furiously calls his former leader trash for his betrayal, questioning why anyone would admire such a person. Enraged by the insult to their hero, the B-rank bullies draw their weapons, ready to attack. Arga reacts, shocked that they would break guild rules by drawing weapons in a public space. The receptionist panics and urges the guildmaster to stop the fight, but he remains perfectly calm. The guildmaster stops her, deciding to let the fight unfold to see Arga's true power. The two adventurers swing their swords down, but Arga catches the blades with his bare hands, completely unfazed. In a blur of motion, he twists and disarms them, their weapons flying uselessly through the air. The blonde bully stumbles back, clutching his chest in pain from an unseen lightning-fast strike. The receptionist and guildmaster are left speechless, witnessing Arga's impossible speed and strength. His companion is also sent flying, his weapon knocked from his grasp as he hits the ground. He scolds his defeated opponents, questioning their intelligence for breaking such a basic guild rule. The humiliated bullies are mocked by other adventurers for being lectured by an E-rank tamer. Seething with rage and embarrassment, the two adventurers rise to their feet, preparing to attack again. Ignoring the rules completely, they lunge forward, throwing simultaneous punches in a desperate attack. Arga effortlessly slips past their telegraphed punches, making them look foolish. He realizes with a jolt that their movements are impossibly slow for B-rank adventurers. He recalls how they lost their balance so easily, their footing completely unstable. He questions their motives, wondering if their weakness is a ruse to catch him off guard. Unsure of their true intentions, he decides to press his advantage regardless. He seizes the blonde adventurer by the head, preparing to throw him like a rag doll. The adventurer is sent cartwheeling through the air, completely overpowered. He decides to play dumb, knowing his feigned confusion will create the perfect opening. He pivots and delivers a swift, decisive blow to the other bully's unguarded back. Both bullies lie defeated on the guild floor, the confrontation over in an instant. Arga remains wary, suspecting their pathetic performance is just another trap. He prepares to force their hand, determined to expose their true intentions. But a large hand suddenly moves to intercept him, halting his advance. The guildmaster himself steps in, putting a stop to the one-sided beatdown. Nemiris calmly tells the fired-up protagonist that he has made his point. Arga turns, surprised to see the guildmaster intervening directly. He tries to warn Nemiris, convinced the bullies are just faking their defeat. The guildmaster simply smiles, confirming the two are completely incapacitated and the fight is truly over. As a healer tends to the bullies, she remarks that Arga's perception is lagging behind his power, as these men were far too weak to be B-rank. Her words hit Arga with the force of a revelation, leaving him utterly speechless. The guildmaster explains that everyone else can see Arga is now strong enough to overwhelm B-rank adventurers. Onlookers confirm the bullies were high B ranks, yet Arga defeated them easily without his monsters. The truth finally dawns on Arga, leaving him sweating and speechless with shock. Nemiris calmly advises him to exercise restraint in the future, acknowledging his overwhelming strength. Still processing the reality of his power, Arga nervously agrees to the guildmaster's request. A single tear of joy rolls down his cheek as he realizes the incredible truth about himself. He walks away from the scene, his mind reeling with the implications of his newfound power. The concept of needing to hold back in a fight finally sinks in, a testament to how far he's come. Nemiris watches him depart, silently contemplating the boy's mysterious and rapid growth. The receptionist wonders about the source of his sudden strength, but the guildmaster can only confirm that it's real. The receptionist theorizes his second job is the source of his power, and Nemiris decides to investigate. A mysterious woman approaches, asking if they're discussing the man from earlier. Her stunning appearance immediately captures the attention of the gawking adventurers in the guild. She walks with an air of authority, a katana resting confidently at her side. She introduces herself as Sisel the legendary SSS-rank adventurer known as humanity's strongest. With intense curiosity, she demands to know everything about Arga. Meanwhile, in a desolate ice cave, a dark presence emerges from the shadows. A monstrous, multi-legged creature reveals itself, crawling out from the icy depths. The beast viciously strikes a person, its sharp appendage making contact. Arga watches in shock, caught off guard by the sudden and brutal attack. Arga scrambles to safety, realizing the monster has cut off his only escape route. He seethes with anger, blaming his former leader Kanado for this near-death experience. But his bitter thoughts are interrupted by a mysterious voice asking about Kanado. He turns to find the legendary SSS-rank adventurer Sisel standing casually behind him. She offers a disarmingly cheerful smile, seemingly unfazed by the dangerous surroundings. Arga is completely stunned, trying to process why humanity's strongest is in this cave. She questions his solo presence, explaining that she's also looking for Kanado's party. Sisel presses for information, convinced that his treacherous former comrades are nearby. Using his heightened senses, Arga confirms that Kanado's party has already fled the area. The bitter memory of his abandonment flashes through his mind, fueling his resentment. The story shifts to Sisel confronting the new tamer from Kanado's party, who had been trying to escape the cave. She presses the replacement for information, asking what he's heard about the party's former tamer, Arga. A flashback reveals Kanado's frustration, complaining that Arga would have known what to do in their situation. The new tamer nervously admits he heard about Arga constantly, always being unfavorably compared to him. He confesses that Arga's knowledge of monsters was said to be far superior to his own. Sisel's eyes light up with intense curiosity, asking if he heard anything about Arga's special abilities. He confirms the rumors, revealing he heard Arga had the power to crossbreed monsters. In another bitter memory, Kanado's party berates him, calling him an incompetent tamer inferior even to Arga. His former teammates had dismissed the idea, insisting that no tamer could possibly possess such a skill. Back in the present, Sisel explains to Arga that because his old party saw his fusions so often, they mistakenly thought it was a normal tamer ability. Sisel's eyes widen with intense excitement, demanding he explain his unique ability in detail. Back in the present, Arga thoughtfully considers this new information while surveying the barren landscape. His fused dragon, now looking different, approaches him with a low growl. He's stunned to realize the recent glow wasn't a simple level up, but a full-blown transformation. The truth hits him as he learns his dragon Lala has evolved into a little chimera dragon. He can't help but notice the creature's new, somewhat grotesque appearance. He blames himself, realizing his reckless fusions with incompatible monsters caused this strange evolution. A sudden realization strikes him as he recalls a specific location nearby. He pats his new companion Kidra, admitting its stats are good, but its form is still a mess. His eyes lock onto the entrance of a nearby dungeon, the very place he was just thinking of. He stands with his companions before the entrance to the Palpari Labyrinth. He confidently believes this beginner-friendly labyrinth is the perfect challenge for their current power level. He knows this dungeon contains the perfect fusion materials to fix his companion's evolution. He reassures his chimera dragon, Kidra, promising to correct its evolutionary path. With a new mission in mind, he and his monsters charge headfirst into the dungeon. They are immediately met by the labyrinth's inhabitants, a lizardman and a horned beast. Soon after, a swarm of giant insectoid monsters scurries towards them. Unfazed by the numbers, Arga draws his blade and prepares to cut through the horde. He orders his companions to ignore the weaker mobs, his sights set on a specific target. He realizes the metal stag beetle possesses both the beetle and steel elements needed to stabilize his dragon's evolution. He finally spots his target, a metal stag beetle, and prepares to capture it. With a determined shout, Arga reaches out, attempting to use his taming skill on the creature. But his repeated attempts to tame the swarming beetles all end in failure. He grits his teeth in frustration, remembering he only gets 3 chances per monster. With taming off the table, he resorts to a different method, cleanly slicing the beetle in 2. A barrage of level-up notifications floods his vision, and he decides to farm experience as he ventures deeper. Elsewhere, Sisel and the new tamer continue their discussion about Arga's mysterious powers. Sisel wonders if his fusions only change a monster's appearance, or if they alter its strength as well. A chilling thought crosses her mind. This power could make both Arga and his monsters unbelievably strong. The replacement tamer nervously chimes in, about to reveal another rumor he's heard about Arga. The replacement tamer asks Sisel what makes her so certain about Arga's abilities. She continues her thought, considering the implications of fusing something as rare as a baby dragon. Their conversation is cut short as a massive centipede monster bursts from the ice, terrifying the new tamer. Sisel, however, stands her ground with a smirk, glad to have her suspicions confirmed by the chaos. The terrified tamer shouts his gratitude, realizing he would have been monster food without her. She casually tells him he's the lucky one, now free from Kanado's toxic party. With a single effortless slash of her katana, she neutralizes the giant beast. She winks, offering to escort him out of the cave as thanks for the valuable intel. The tamer finally connects the dots, recognizing her legendary jet black sword. After safely escorting him out, Sisel waves goodbye, her focus already shifting to her next objective. Sisel reflects on the impossible existence of Arga, a man who is both a tamer and a fusionist. The receptionist teases the guildmaster about his frequent chats with Arga, but he awkwardly denies being close friends. Nemiris reveals his suspicions began when he learned Arga had somehow tamed a dragon species all by himself. He admits this incredible feat was so unusual that he decided to keep a close watch on the young adventurer. The receptionist recalls hearing that Arga's companion was just a weak type of dragon, not understanding the significance. The image focuses on the seemingly harmless baby dragon, the very creature that sparked the guildmaster's interest. Nemiris drops a bombshell explaining that taming any dragon species is considered fundamentally impossible for most. He elaborates that dragons are highly intelligent and will only serve those they deem worthy of their immense power. The receptionist connects the dots, realizing Arga must possess incredible latent talent, a fact Nemiris has yet to confirm. Sisel's interest is now fully captured, her mind racing with the possibilities of combining fusion art with a legendary dragon. Nemiris decides to investigate the rumors about Arga himself, his expression hardening with resolve. Sisel beams with excitement, now planning to interrogate Arga's former party for more information. She realizes with a thrill that Arga's unique abilities might be the key to fulfilling her own personal ambition. Back in the Palpari labyrinth, Arga and his monsters venture deeper into the dungeon. They confront the labyrinth's boss, a powerful D-rank ogre which roars in defiance. Arga's chimera dragon and wolf easily overpower the beast, proving their overwhelming strength. His companions deliver a final, decisive blow, leaving the once fearsome boss completely defeated. Arga calmly observes the weakened ogre, deciding it's the perfect time to add it to his collection. He reflects with satisfaction on his party's incredible growth, noting that even a boss monster is now an easy opponent. The ogre lets out a final roar of submission as Arga successfully tames the powerful creature. The ogre throws a desperate punch, but Arga catches the blow with his face, completely unfazed. The monster recoils in pain and disbelief, its knuckles throbbing from the impact. Arga smirks, proving his body is now tougher than the powerful beast's fist. He realizes with a thrill that D-rank monsters can no longer even scratch him. With a single powerful move, he effortlessly slams the massive ogre into the dungeon floor. As the beast lies defeated, Arga reaches out to claim his new powerful companion. A treasure chest materializes where the boss fell, signaling a rare drop. He eagerly opens the chest, but his excitement quickly turns to stunned disbelief. A wave of relief washes over him as he realizes just how incredibly lucky he's been. Feeling victorious, Arga strolls confidently back through town, humming a cheerful tune. Inside the chest, he finds not one but two of the ogre's rare drop, the Horn of Battle. He erupts with joy, realizing the odds of such a lucky drop are 1 in 100 million. He mentally calculates the staggering probability, combining the chances of a rare drop with a double drop. Lost in thought about his newfound wealth, he snapped back to reality when someone calls his name. His cheerful mood instantly vanishes as he recognizes the voice of his former leader, Kanato. He finds himself face to face with his entire old party, who stare at him with disdain. Kanato points in shock, demanding to know what happened to Arga's body. Arga realizes that after his transformation and leveling up, he no longer has to look up to his former leader. His old female companions mock him, accusing him of using strange potions to get taller. Kanato's attention shifts to the item in Arga's hand, recognizing it as a rare drop from an ogre. Kanato refuses to believe Arga could have obtained such a rare item on his own. His former female companions immediately accuse him of stealing it or mooching off another party. Kanato scoffs, belittling the D-rank drop and telling Arga not to bother showing off. To one-up him, Kanato flaunts a glittering ring, proudly declaring it a B-rank rare drop. He then smugly asks Arga if he's jealous of their superior loot. Kanato patronizingly pats his head, reminding him that his only value was his knowledge, calling everything else about him trash. With a condescending smirk, Kanato offers to allow Arga to rejoin their party. He dangles the ring as bait, suggesting Arga could get valuable items again if he came back. Arga's shock quickly morphs into a look of weary understanding as he pieces together their true intentions. He realizes they're only asking him back because they're struggling without his expertise, scoffing at their excitement over a functionally useless ring. The female companions are outraged, questioning how he could possibly reject Kanato's kindness. Arga scoffs, realizing they're only trying to recruit him again now that they understand his value. He finally snaps, unleashing his monstrous companions as he tells his old party to shut up. His former teammates recoil in disgust, shocked by the strange new forms of his tamed creatures. With a furious glare, Arga tells them to disappear from his sight once and for all. They hypocritically call him a barbarian, completely ignoring their own aggressive behavior. As he walks away, Arga curses his bad luck for having his victorious mood ruined by the encounter. The confrontation reignites his resolve, vowing to become so powerful they'll never dare look down on him again. Watching him leave, Kanato's companion expresses her irritation, while he admits he wanted Arga back. Kanato quickly dismisses the failure, arrogantly claiming he'll just find a new strategy that doesn't need a tamer. Kanato's companion frets that without Arga's expertise, their future quest will be incredibly difficult. Meanwhile, Arga makes his way through town, heading towards a weapon shop to upgrade his gear. He decides to sell his rare drop for cash, needing a new knife after his old one was dulled in the labyrinth. The goblin-like shopkeeper eyes the Horn of Battle, asking if Arga truly wants to sell it. Arga confidently places one of the valuable horns on the counter, ready to make a deal. He smiles to himself, still reveling in his incredible luck from the dungeon. But the shady merchant declares the item a fake, offering a pathetic single gold coin for it. Arga's fist slams down, shattering the counter as he stops the dealer's attempt to snatch the horn. He furiously calls out the scam, confirming the horn is a legitimate and rare ogre drop. As an apology, Arga demands 2,000 gold coins and the most expensive knife in the entire shop. The shopkeeper sweats profusely, trying to intimidate Arga with a weak threat. Arga remains unfazed as the shopkeeper's thuggish friends gather in the background. The desperate merchant lunges forward, attempting a clumsy knife attack. Arga sighs, realizing he's stumbled into a truly disreputable establishment. He coldly decides that a corrupt shop like this has no right to exist. With a single effortless blow, he sends the attacking merchant flying through the air. Arga warns the onlookers that they were unlucky to have picked a fight with him today. He then reconsiders, lamenting his own bad luck for constantly attracting trouble. The other thugs stare in disbelief, stunned by Arga's incredible skill. But the commotion is interrupted as the guildmaster's voice calls out his name. Arga looks up to see the legendary SSS-rank adventurer Sisel standing before him. She greets him with a cheerful smile, happy to have finally found him. The shopkeeper and his thugs are completely baffled by her sudden appearance and familiarity with Arga. Undeterred, the shopkeeper foolishly threatens to attack the newcomer. Her cheerful demeanor vanishes as she coldly tells the thugs to be quiet while she's talking. In a flash, all the thugs are sent flying, defeated before anyone can even see her move. She turns back to a stunned Arga, casually mentioning how hard she's been searching for him. The terrified shopkeeper finally recognizes her, realizing he just threatened humanity's strongest. Arga's mind reels, completely unable to process the impossible speed of her attack. Still reeling, Arga is caught off guard as the legendary adventurer suddenly asks him for a favor. She makes a shocking proposal, asking him to form a party with her. Arga's mind reels, unable to decide if this is a stroke of good fortune or a terrible curse. She beams with anticipation, eagerly awaiting his response to her unexpected offer. He struggles to comprehend the request, questioning why she would want to team up with him. He recalls her legendary status, wondering why a hero who has defeated gods would ever need a partner. A sudden suspicion dawns on him, his expression hardening as he considers a new possibility. He voices his doubt, demanding she prove she is truly the legendary adventurer she claims to be. The battered shopkeeper chimes in from the floor, attesting to her undeniable and overwhelming power. She confidently presents her legendary katana, a blade forged from the bone of an evil god, as undeniable proof. Still wary from his recent run-in with the scammer, Arga reluctantly accepts her proof. She agrees with an awkward smile, realizing her proof wasn't as convincing as she thought. Arga remains unconvinced, admitting he's never seen her legendary weapon before. Flustered, she pulls out her adventurer card from an unexpected place, offering better proof. The card reveals her insane stats, SSS rank, multiple jobs, and immeasurable power levels. Arga's mind is blown, struggling to comprehend someone having 3 different occupations. He hands back the card, now fully convinced he's speaking to the genuine article. But he still questions why an SSS rank hero would want to party with a low-rank tamer. Sisel explains that since childhood, she has always been the strongest, with no one able to challenge her. A shadow of loneliness crosses her face as she reflects on her unmatched power. While Arga expresses admiration, she corrects him, calling her overwhelming strength a tragedy. She explains that being the strongest from the start has left her life devoid of challenge or excitement. The one thing she has always craved is the thrill of a true defeat. She despaired after searching the world and finding that even gods and demon lords were no match for her. But then she heard rumors of his unique ability to strengthen monsters through fusion, sparking a new hope. Arga is baffled, finding her problem of being too strong incredibly strange. She believes that if he uses his power to create the ultimate monster, she might finally experience the loss she desires. The bizarre reason for her request finally dawns on Arga, leaving him stunned. He sweats nervously under her intense, hopeful gaze, completely overwhelmed by the situation. After a moment of thought, he agrees to her proposal but states he has his own conditions. He boldly demands that before they team up, she must first fight against him. 1 week later, a massive coliseum is packed to the brim with a roaring crowd. Sisel stands ready in the arena, her expression serious as she awaits her opponent. The crowd buzzes with rumors, wondering if this is a duel or an entrance exam for Sisel's party. All eyes turn as Arga emerges from the shadows, stepping into the arena to face her. Arga calmly surveys the massive audience, noting the impressive turnout for their fight. He stands with unwavering confidence, ready to prove his worth against humanity's strongest. He smirks, realizing the gossiping shopkeeper conveniently advertised the match for him. Sisel beams with excitement, impressed that Arga has drawn such a massive crowd. Arga reminds her that he is simply fulfilling the condition he set for their partnership. She can already sense his immense growth, confirming that he has become incredibly powerful. A flashback reveals Arga's promise to become worthy of her partnership in just 1 week. He confidently confirms he is ready for her challenge. Sisel smiles, eager to see what he's capable of after his intense preparation. The two opponents take their stances in the center of the arena, the air crackling with anticipation. Her expression is calm, but her eyes radiate an immense, overwhelming power. Arga immediately feels the crushing pressure of her aura, doubting he can possibly win. But despite the fear, he steels his resolve, knowing he cannot afford to back down now. In the crowd, onlookers recognize him, whispering that he's just Kanato's former lackey. He overhears their mockery, realizing with a grimace that this is still his reputation. A new fear dawns on him. If he joins her, he'll just trade one label for another, becoming Sisel's lackey. His eyes burn with determination, vowing to face her without fear and prove his strength to the world. He explodes forward, his movements a declaration to the crowd that he has been reborn. The clash of their blades is instantaneous, his blinding speed catching the entire audience by surprise. Despite his relentless assault, Sisel remains perfectly composed, effortlessly neutralizing every attack. He remembers his week of intense fusions and over 100 level-ups, but even that feels insufficient. To him, she is an unbreakable wall of power, and he can't see any possible way to win. She casually remarks that his impressive power is only comparable to her own when she was a toddler. She then praises his effort, genuinely impressed that he can even keep pace with her. The crowd erupts, stunned to see him fighting on par with the legendary hero who defeated gods in a blink. Refusing to be intimidated, he leaps back into the attack, pressing his assault against the legend. He realizes his black dragon fang knife is no match for a blade forged from the bone of an evil god. Sisel decides to hold back, thinking it would be a hassle if she accidentally destroyed his monsters. She notes his refusal to use his monsters, but Arga confirms he intends to face her alone. He warns her that in a real fight, accidents can happen, refusing to accept defeat. Despite the overwhelming pressure, his eyes burn with unwavering determination. In a sudden change of tactics, he summons his entire monster party to attack her at once. Sisel calls him out for breaking his promise, but Arga remains focused on his strategy. He reveals his true plan, using his monsters as a decoy to land a decisive blow from behind. But his confidence shatters as Sisel calmly praises his idea without even turning around. In a single, effortless motion, she sends his entire monster party flying, completely foiling his ambush. He checks on his companions, relieved to see they've only been knocked unconscious. Arga stares in disbelief, struggling to process how she defeated all 3 monsters simultaneously. He realizes the decoy worked, using the opening to close the distance for a final strike. But his blade hits nothing but air as he realizes with horror that he's only struck an afterimage. Sisel appears behind him, her blade at his neck as she calmly declares her victory. He asks how she handled his monsters, and she casually explains that afterimages are easy at her speed. She reveals she defeated his powerful monsters with a simple flick of her fingers, just like the thugs in the shop. Overwhelmed by the gap in their power, Arga laughs bitterly and admits his defeat. The sudden roar of the crowd snaps him out of his despair, leaving him startled. The audience erupts in cheers, praising the incredible match and showing new respect for Tamers. The entire Colosseum roars with approval, shouting his name in awe of his performance. Arga reflects with a small smile, knowing his days of being mocked are finally over. With the condition met, Sisel asks if he will join her, and he calmly accepts her offer. The story jumps forward 2 days, finding the new partners at the entrance to the A-rank Kakip labyrinth. He admits that while he knows she's powerful, he wants to see how she handles monsters in a real fight. She appears slightly puzzled by his request, but he coolly anticipates her acceptance. Suddenly, his composure breaks, his eyes widening in disbelief at what he witnesses. The battle is over in a flash, and Arga asks her to do it again, unable to comprehend her speed. He sweats, realizing this dungeon is too easy for her, and that he's barred from the S-rank labyrinths where she could truly be tested. She agrees, explaining that she defeats A-rank threats in a mere instant, making it impossible for him to gauge her true abilities. A sudden idea strikes Arga, his eyes widening with a new plan. Sisel brightly suggests he take the promotion exam to solve his problem. She reveals her recommendation will let him take the SSS-rank exam, but Arga is filled with doubt. He processes the logic, understanding that an S-rank promotion is his only path forward. The thought of being promoted to the highest rank under these circumstances leaves him completely flabbergasted. Meanwhile, Kanado and his party stand grimly amidst ancient ruins, preparing for a new challenge. Their target is a colossal ruined tower, choked by the roots of an ancient tree. His companion expresses her nervousness about the SS-rank dungeon, but Kanado dismisses her fears. He remains supremely confident, certain that their new strategy will be enough. He arrogantly declares they don't need Arga or any tamer to conquer the labyrinth. Kanado rallies his party, determined to conquer the dungeon and achieve SS rank. His companion eagerly agrees, sneering that they can succeed even without their former teammate. Back at the guild, two adventurers begin gossiping about Kanado's party's recent activities. One reveals that Kanado's group has resorted to using a cowardly strategy known as chicken tactics. The other adventurer learns this flawed plan stems from their ignorance of a tamer's true value. A flashback shows Kanado's party employing this tactic, skipping mobs to poison the boss directly. The gossiping adventurer notes that any skilled party would recognize the vital information tamers provide. Meanwhile, the guildmaster and a young girl descend a staircase, heading to a private area. They enter a sparse, empty room, seemingly a waiting area or testing chamber. The guildmaster turns and apologizes for the delay to an unseen person they've been escorting. Arga and the young girl finally come face to face with the guildmaster in the private chamber. Nemiris acknowledges Arga's remarkable growth, impressed by his progress. He admits he now understands why Arga is bold enough to challenge the SSS rank exam. Arga sheepishly clarifies he's only here because Sisel recommended him after they formed a party. Their chat is cut short by the arrival of a powerfully built man with a stern look. The impatient newcomer tells the guildmaster to stop the small talk and get on with it. Taken aback by the man's rudeness, Arga looks to the guildmaster for an explanation. Nemiris introduces him as Rajha, an SSS rank adventurer and the examiner for today's test. Arga feels a sense of familiarity, but Rajha dismissively suggests he must have met his brother, Razul. The name clicks, and Arga cheerfully recalls that Razul was one of the bullies he defeated at the guild. Rajha furiously explains that his brother has been a depressed shut-in ever since the humiliating defeat. The examiner glares down at Arga, confirming he is the one who bested his older brother. Arga calmly replies that Razul started the fight and simply got what was coming to him. The guildmaster notes with a sigh that Arga's bluntness has only worsened the already tense situation. Enraged by the response, Rajha threatens Arga's life, startling the young girl beside him. The guildmaster steps in, ordering the two to face each other as he prepares to explain the exam rules. He declares that to pass, Arga must fight the SSS rank examiner and achieve at least a draw. Arga listens intently, understanding the simple yet incredibly difficult condition for his promotion. Before the rules are even finished, Rajha lunges forward, swinging his massive blade in a surprise attack. The examiner roars with fury, declaring that the first strike will decide the match as he aims to finish Arga. The guildmaster and Arga are both stunned by the examiner's sudden aggression. Rajha's massive blade slices through the air, aimed directly at the unprepared Arga. Thrown to the ground, Arga scrambles to react to the overwhelming assault. From his back, he deflects the sword with a desperate kick as Rajha smirks with satisfaction. The SSS rank examiner relentlessly presses his attack, goading the downed Arga to fight back. Arga's eyes narrow with focus, analyzing his opponent's every move from the floor. Watching from the sidelines, the young girl trembles with fear for Arga's safety. She turns to Sisel, insisting they intervene because the examiner attacked before the signal. Sisel simply smiles, confidently telling the girl not to worry and that the fight will end shortly. Despite her calm words, she observes Arga struggling to block the furious onslaught, noting his imminent defeat. Rajha laughs with crazed fury, determined to end Arga's life with his relentless assault. But Arga's initial shock quickly hardens into cold focus as he prepares to counter. In a stunning reversal, Arga sends the SSS rank examiner flying with a single powerful punch. Rajha reels in disbelief, completely stunned by the unexpected force of the counterattack. The young girl watches in amazement, unable to comprehend how Arga just turned the tables. Arga stands over his downed opponent, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the examiner's rage. The girl notes that Arga should have been completely overwhelmed by the sudden, unfair assault. Arga calmly explains he anticipated his opponent's treachery and was fully prepared for a dirty fight. The examiner is further enraged when Arga dismisses his SSS rank movements as laughably slow. The guildmaster teases him about his initial surprise, and Arga awkwardly admits he was still a little startled. Arga questions if the examiner was deliberately moving slowly to make him drop his guard. He then realizes with a sweat drop that Raja's brother used the exact same predictable tactic. Arga reveals he only pretended to be overwhelmed to test the examiner's true intentions. He concludes with a smirk that the SSS-rank adventurer wasn't faking it. He was just that slow. The girl asks why he dodged for so long, and he explains he was looking for an opening to win without causing serious harm. He then reveals his restraint was a direct order from the guildmaster himself. A flashback confirms Namiris had asked him to go easy on the examiner before the fight began. The guildmaster looks on with pride, impressed by Arga's incredible growth and maturity. Arga cheekily insists that his powerful counterattack was, in fact, him showing proper restraint. With a satisfied smile, the guildmaster officially declares that Arga has passed the SSS rank exam without question. The guildmaster's voice echoes, officially recognizing Arga Abilion as an SSS rank adventurer. He receives his new gleaming SSS rank adventurer card as proof of his incredible achievement. The young girl excitedly asks what their next move is, now that any labyrinth is open to them. Sisel confidently walks beside Arga, reminding the girl that she never doubted he would pass with ease. But their celebration is cut short when a desperate voice suddenly calls out Arga's name. Sisel suggests they have a promotion party first, while Arga admits having too many choices is a problem. A sudden commotion interrupts them, filled with sounds of desperation and fear. He turns to find his former party members, Kanado and his companion, groveling on the ground before him. Arga stares down in utter disbelief, completely baffled by their sudden and desperate appearance. The two look up, bruised and beaten, pleading for Arga to save them. The story flashes back several hours to the crumbling ruins of the SS-rank dungeon. Kanado's party flees in terror, scrambling up a crumbling staircase inside the labyrinth. A massive stone pillar crashes down behind them, forcing the party to dive for cover. He looks back in terror, admitting that their pursuer is overwhelmingly powerful. Kanado collapses in despair, believing they've reached their limit, despite his companion's encouragement. A shadowy, fanged monster with glowing eyes looms over them, the source of their terror. One of his companions suggests using a return stone, but Kanado sees no opportunity to escape. In a sudden, brutal attack, the monster sends one of his companions flying off the ledge. The remaining party members can only watch in stunned horror at their teammate's fate. Kanado cries out in anguish as he watches his friend fall, helpless against the shadowy foe. Kanado's companion snaps him out of his terror, urging him to use the return stone to escape. Stealing his resolve, Kanado pulls out the glowing orb, ready to activate their only escape route. They rationalize leaving their other companion behind, convinced she can survive until they return for her. With a final empty apology, Kanado and his companion abandon their friend to her fate, teleporting away. Arga coldly summarizes their actions, stating they simply abandoned their teammate and fled. Kanado furiously denies it, but Arga dismisses his words as a pathetic, selfish excuse. In a desperate plea, Kanado begs his former lackey to help them rescue their friend. Arga mocks their hypocrisy, questioning why they need his knowledge now after banishing him. A flicker of hope appears in their eyes as Arga seems to consider their desperate request. The young girl beside Arga looks down at them, asking if they are truly sorry for what they did. Arga remains unmoved by their pleas, his cold expression showing he sees right through their insincere apology. Kanado's hope turns to frustration, as he realizes Arga's low rank would prevent him from entering the SS rank dungeon anyway. Believing their groveling was a waste, his former party immediately drops the act and begins mocking him again. A sudden, cheerful grin spreads across Arga's face as he remembers a crucial detail and pulls out his new adventurer card. Kanado's jaw drops in utter disbelief, his eyes wide with shock at the impossible SSS rank displayed on the card. Refusing to accept reality, Kanado immediately accuses Arga of forging the high-rank card. Arga smugly confirms that his new rank gives him full access to the very SS rank labyrinth they fled from. The young girl apologizes for the scene, while Arga glares, annoyed by his former party's pathetic behavior. Sisel chimes in, mockingly expressing her surprise that Arga was ever associated with such trash. Ignoring his former teammates, Arga's expression hardens with resolve as he declares he will go save their abandoned friend. He states he will hand over their rescued companion at the guild. Arga then dismisses his former party, telling them they'd only get in the way. He declares that he and Sisel will conquer the labyrinth by themselves. Kanado's companion is stunned, finally realizing Arga is partnered with the legendary Sisel. They both erupt in disbelief, unable to comprehend why the hero would team up with their former lackey. But their shock quickly turns to scheming as they realize this situation could work in their favor. The scene shifts to the imposing Iseult Labyrinth, their destination. As they prepare to enter, Sisel questions why Arga is bothering to help his former party at all. She insists he has no obligation to save such selfish and remorseless people. Arga grimly explains that based on the map, their abandoned friend is probably already lost. He clarifies with a smirk that this isn't an act of kindness, but his own unique form of revenge. His plan is to effortlessly defeat the very monster that his former mocking party couldn't even scratch. He initiates his fusion art, determined to make them taste the bitter reality of their arrogance. A massive surge of power erupts as the fusion process begins in the heart of the labyrinth. Sisel questions if this is truly revenge, but Arga's confident expression shows he has more in mind. A powerful aura descends upon them as his monsters begin their transformation. Two of his companions start to glow, their forms shifting as they undergo a powerful evolution. Arga recognizes the signs immediately, his excitement growing as he witnesses the rare phenomenon. He looks up at his unseen creation, eagerly anticipating the power it will wield. Sisel stares in utter amazement, admitting she's never seen such a creature, while Arga smirks with pride. They step into the SS-rank labyrinth, its ancient corridors choked with massive roots. His new creation immediately proves its power, tearing through the labyrinth's monsters with ease. Sisel notes that Kanado's party was far too weak to use cowardly chicken tactics in a dungeon of this level. Arga comments that the dungeon doesn't seem very impressive for its SS rank, and Sisel casually agrees. He calls their flawed strategy idiotic, pointing out its obvious weaknesses. But as they venture deeper, Sisel admits that something about the situation is bothering her. Arga explains that trying to poison a boss is useless if it has status ailment immunity skills. A look of realization dawns on her face as she realizes something is off about Kanado's story. She reveals a crucial piece of information. The boss of this particular labyrinth is a vampire. Arga's expression hardens as he confirms he had the very same concern. He realizes the most suspicious part of their story is that they were able to retreat at all. Sisel agrees, explaining that a proud vampire would have used magic to stop them from escaping. He reasons that even with a sacrifice, the monster wouldn't have simply let 2 more meals walk away. Sisel offers a chilling possibility. The boss might be a rare mutant. The two adventurers stand before the imposing doors of the boss chamber, ready for what's inside. She elaborates that a vampire variant, like a princess or noble, would be SSS-rank, far beyond the dungeon's rating. The absurdity of the situation hits him, an SSS-rank boss lurking in an SS-rank labyrinth. As he pushes the doors open, he questions the logic, believing a nobler creature would be even more possessive of its prey. Sisel simply offers a cheerful and unhelpful explanation that such inconsistencies just happen sometimes. But before they can enter, a sword hurtles out from the darkness, aimed directly at them. The dripping blade narrowly misses, embedding itself deep into the stone wall. Arga remains completely unfazed, having dodged the surprise attack with ease. A silhouetted figure mockingly congratulates him, while Arga recognizes the blood-based magic. The figure reveals herself as the vampire Princess Reina, smugly telling him to be proud he survived. His suspicions are confirmed as he identifies her as an SSS-rank mutant, a vampire princess. Sisel calmly steps back, deciding to leave the SSS-rank opponent entirely to Arga. The vampire princess is taken aback, surprised that the legendary hero is stepping aside. Arga stands ready for battle as his powerful companions emerge from the shadows to join him. He stands flanked by his monstrous companions, presenting a united and formidable front. The vampire princess scoffs, dismissing his powerful allies as mere lowly monsters unable to touch her. The princess smirks with amusement, identifying him as a mere tamer.